Welcome to Fringe Element here on the 440 Sports Network, Holiday Christmas Edition. My name is Braden Gall. You can follow me on Twitter at Braden Gall.
Mine's Erin Dugan. You can follow me on Twitter at the Erin Dugan or Instagram Erin_Dugan.
My name is Stephen Godfrey. You can find me at 38 Godfrey on Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff.
Ian Fitzsimmons will be our guest coming up a little bit later on. We will talk Coach of the Year. We'll talk quarterback transfers as Bo Nix did exactly what we predicted last week on the show and went to Oregon. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about some bowl games. And but first, we'll get into some hot takes about next season already. It's never too early to look at 2022. However, Erin Dugan, very early in the morning.
Oh, Lord, be a raindrop.
Fringe Element is brought to you by
Jasper's, the world's Christmas miracle.
Nice.
Did I already do that?
That's good. That was good.
I think you were pretty close last week, but it's about the same. By the way, go to Jasper's. Great holiday specials. If you need a stocking stuffer, go to the market. They've got all kinds of good locally sourced, like Thistle Farms and like Goo Goo Clusters and all kinds of really cool stocking stuffers in there. So go check out the market. Free parking, great food, drink specials, all that great stuff. If and when there's ever hockey games or sporting events for you to watch, they will have great drink specials when those take place. We're recording this very early in the morning, so if you're watching us on YouTube,
Wow.
Erin Dugan doing great work to put the show up on YouTube, so go check out the entire show all over the YouTubes now, so go do that.
Subscribe.
It is pretty early in the morning, and Stephen and I are on kid schedules. Erin Dugan is not, so that's why we're recording this so early in the morning.
I got to leave town, so I do
It's our
have
kids'
a thing to do.
All right, so quickly here, Erin Dugan, you have some hot takes about next season for the SEC football teams, and Stephen and I will judge these takes based from 1 to 5 Stephen A's, 5 Stephen A's being the hottest of hot takes, 1 Stephen A being the least. Erin, let's rattle these off.
Okay. Here we go. Tennessee goes 9-3 and loses a big time bowl, but all the fans end up smiling after, and they're kind of happy even though they lose it. Sucks. Okay. Mizzou solidified.
No. I'm processing.
Okay.
We're thinking. That's
It's not controversial by any stretch.
Well,
no,
I mean,
I would
Tennessee
go like
being
2
happy at all is kind of controversial.
2 Stephen A's.
Yeah, I would agree. I would go 2. The 9-3 part, without picking apart the schedule, I think
I didn't really think
I think if they finish 9-3, I don't think they're going to care about the bowl, because
That's
they'll
kinda-
be so happy. Yeah.
Okay.
Tennessee fans this year have been happier than they've been in many, many, many years. Hendon Hooker is back. They closed well on the recruiting trail. Big Orange people are actually happy right now.
Yeah,
So
the thing to take away is that we have. This has bought them a little time before they really go crazy again about like why can't we beat Alabama, Georgia, et cetera. So
It won't be long, but yeah.
All right. So okay,
like 2 years.
Does everybody get the game now? I think it's a good game. Erin,
Yeah.
this was your idea. Well done. Next hot take.
It's probably not gonna be that hot, but Mizzou solidifies a spot in the middle upper range of the SEC and probably gets like super tight new uniforms to try to make them a little cooler. Not that controversial.
Hmm.
Any,
I'm gonna go 4 Stephen A's.
Why?
Or maybe 3 Stephen. You're right. 4's
you think it's that controversial?
I think that Missouri having a good uniform and/or being top level of the SEC East are both pretty hot takes.
So
I'm gonna
mean.
I'm gonna go 3 Stephen A's. It's not super hot take. It's not like winning the East, but I'm gonna go 3 Stephen A's.
The uniform is very low for me. The relevancy is very high. How's that? So it's a split.
That's the hot take part.
I think they should be the Oregon of the league in terms of like uniforms. Would you have a black base as a palette? Like, yeah, go crazy.
Matte
Have
black.
fun. Yeah,
Like-
have fun.
I think Vanderbilt has done a far better job with their black base
Yes.
palette than Missouri.
Yes.
I think Missouri's look more arena football, like the Iowa Barnstormers, and I think Vanderbilt's look more like classy and classic and like creative.
So we
There's
got that
more-
going for us.
Yes, I would say even with the transition back by Vanderbilt, we could do a whole uniform episode. But yes, Vandy has been beating Missouri handily.
Okay.
We this is exactly what we're going to talk about in March. We'll have a uniform episode. All right,
Yes,
Erin,
that's the
take
best.
number 3.
Sam Pittman somehow convinces his already huge offensive line to gain 6 to 10 pounds apiece, and they end up getting faster. And also, I get to do a pregame speech at an Arkansas game.
There you go.
So 5 Stephen A's for you getting to do the pregame speech, but if we can make that
100%.
happen, tremendous. I don't know if you get. I don't think it's a hot take, but man, do you get a lot of credit for the creativity. Like they all gain 9 pounds, but they get faster,
Why
Like
9?
lots of creativity.
Yeah, this probably should be on a creative scale and not a hot take scale, but that's not
pretty
what we
low.
signed
Yeah,
up for.
that's very low end. I would not worry too much about that in terms of controversy.
Yeah, it's
I love how literal, like
Stephen A.
Godfrey is so literal. I love it.
I'm just like, yeah, you haven't, yeah. I think you're less controversial than you were worried about being.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's like creative it should be like random / creative, but y'all just judge me on whatever you want. I don't care. Y'all do that anyway.
That sounds good.
Texas A&M basically does what Georgia did this year, but ends up losing a game they shouldn't at the very end and getting their dreams completely stripped away, but also no one will feel that bad for them. And also no one really cares.
Okay.
I don't
So
care.
you're saying 12-0 and then they lose.
I mean, I don't know if I can do that, but
because that would be very, very spicy. That would be 4 or 5 Stephen A's.
So you're Georgia-ing them.
Yeah.
I think they're Georgia this year -1 win.
So 11-1.
That's not controversial to me at all. I think that's just a great call. I think that's like
I'll take that good. You think A&M's that good?
Yeah. They do have a lot of inverse relation with Georgia in terms of like insane expectations, terrible results versus the expectations, like possibly cursed. Yeah, I like that.
I wouldn't say inverse. I would say directly correlated too.
No. I'm saying your results. Like most programs would be happy with a 10-2 season, but if you're Georgia, you want to die like that. Yeah, like that's standard. That I like that. A&M and Georgia have more in common than you realize. Yeah,
I completely. I don't think it's a hot take at all to say that they would be good and then choke that game away when they're good. Yeah. I think it's a hot take to say that they're good enough to be 11-1.
The other hot take to say like a lot of people just don't care about them, but you have to care because you're a fan of another team.
Well, the other fun thing is that this is also potentially on the eve of Texas and Oklahoma coming in. And if A&M has a chance to sort of like establish control or whatever in the league, but then they lose it, then their hated rival comes in and it's going to drive them insane.
To your point, though, about no one caring about them, I don't think that's true. I think college football fans love watching all teams, and A&M is a very big and powerful brand with lots of money and a coach that's recruiting like crazy. But I do think there is an inherent little brother syndrome with Texas A&M. Having lived in Austin for 4 years growing up, you are not taught your mama's so fat jokes when you live in Austin in middle school. You are taught how do you confuse an Aggie joke? Like that's what you learn in middle school in Austin is how do you confuse an Aggie? And then there's just like 47 jokes after that.
It's true.
So there's definitely an inherent little brother syndrome, which is why they went to the SEC in the first place. And now their big brother is coming back to the party after going to college and gaining like 30 freshman pounds. He's going to come back to the party and start beating up on you again. All right. I don't know where that metaphor came from.
Also, I'm talking a lot of shit, but like I still am dying to go to Texas A&M game. That's the only game in the SEC I've not been to. So
if you want to go, Billy Lucci Texags has invited me to his house to stay at his house many times. If we want to go to a game, we can go stay at Lucci's mansion. So
I think we should do that. I don't know why we wouldn't.
And go eat dinner with JJ Watt at a steakhouse in Houston. All right, Erin, what else you got? Any more?
I was doing these late last night. Vanderbilt, I think, just gave me anxiety. All I wrote down was phone a friend, but I should probably put something else down. Do y'all have a hot take on them? This is just too near and dear to the heart.
Not on Vanderbilt, no.
I mean, what are you gonna say? What would be hot take about it? Like you win 2, 3?
A hot take would be
I'm thinking doubling win totals. I think would be exactly what you would like. That would be great. So they would win 4 games, and let's include a conference game in there.
They have to break the 22 game SEC losing streak. They have to break that.
Honestly, you could say the 4-win thing, and it doesn't feel as controversial. But although they do have Wake Forest coming,
I think the hot take
you got to pick that SEC win.
Yeah,
like South Carolina, like that'd be a hot take, but like they always play close.
I mean, I'm looking at South Carolina and Missouri right now, and the rest feel out of reach.
To me, the true hot takes that are going to bubble up over the course of the entire offseason are going to be LSU, Auburn, and Florida. Those are the 3 teams that are going to get a lot of hot takes one way or the other. Whether it's like super awesome, they're going to bounce back and be amazing, or dumpster fire, 0-8, blah, blah, blah. Like those are the 3 teams that I think you're going to get really varied sort of like fabricated takes on all offseason long. Those are the 3 teams I think that are going to get a lot of that.
think that's probably true.
So, which is a perfect time for us to transition into some quarterback news real quickly here with Bo Nix transferring to Oregon. I think Bo did something for Bo. As we talked about last week, I think that's a smart move. They hire Austin Davis to be their offensive coordinator, who, Stephen, you can kind of give us some background on this guy. He was a quarterback at Southern Miss, for those of you who watched Conference USA football back in the day. He's very, very young. He was the quarterback's coach for Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll in Seattle. He is now tied with Brian Harsin, who's going to be more involved in the offense. They have TJ Finley and a couple of young kids on the roster. I guess my question for you, Stephen, real quickly on the Auburn front is, do you believe in Harsin making his own choice to hire his guy to develop a quarterback with now TJ Finley, Demetrius Davis, and the true freshman? Like, is that the right combination of pieces for Auburn moving forward, in your opinion?
I think that the best part about this hire for Auburn is that you can't 100% say it was Harsin's hire or not, depending on where your allegiance lies right now. If you're still critical of Harsin or if you feel like he should be given a fair chance, this just looks like a fundamentally good hire. I think this just looks like something that makes sense, which if it were to jump out at you automatically that this was a quote unquote Harsin guy after what they've been through with having their guys versus other guys, that would be alarming to me, because it means that the focus is still on internal control rather than, hey, what's actually fundamentally good for the program right now. On a slightly broader scale, it's interesting to me that NFL quarterback coaches and we're seeing more fluidity with the league, and I like the introduction of concepts there. So I'm good with this, man.
Yeah, I like it as well. Erin, Bo Nix's legacy. When I say Bo Nix to you at Auburn, the touchdown pass, the unbelievable, probably the most ridiculous play in all of SEC football in 2021 was play against LSU, where he throws the touchdown pass. Also, lots of injuries, coaching change, a pandemic. We talked about it last week. When I say Bo Nix, what's the legacy? How do you? What's the first thought in your head when you think legacy?
Auburn should be gratitude from Auburn fans towards him for being able to be as malleable of a player as he was, and kind of sort of, make things less painful for them over the course of the last 3 years.
I mean, he also complained openly about the refs and pouted on the sidelines sometimes too. But
he did. That's not what people are going to remember.
I keep thinking of that game-winning duck pass against Oregon. So there's some full circleness to this.
I again, like we talked about last week, and he's reuniting with his former offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham, who's now was at Florida State, was at Auburn. Now he's
That's why he went, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
He wants to get back to some consistency and some things that he thought Harsin limited from. It's that simple.
Yeah,
that's
flee the chaos.
We all agree this was a Bo Nix decision for Bo Nix.
Yes,
he finally did something for him.
So glad he's not
good for Bo for creating boundaries.
A fresh start is what he needed. So, all right, Zach Calzada leaves Texas A&M despite beating Alabama. I'm not really as surprised by that one as many people think, because he was sort of the backup. They now have Max Johnson out of the portal from LSU. Miles Brennan is back at LSU, so both LSU quarterbacks have found homes, even though one just came back. You got Spencer Rattler going to South Carolina, of course, who I mean, that fills a huge void. I don't know how much of a difference that makes. I think South Carolina overachieved this year. But just in general, the portal is turning, and we're seeing quarterbacks move around. I think there's a cautionary tale if you look at JT Daniels, Joe Milton, Joey Gatewood. There's just as many quarterbacks that have transferred.
Joey Gatewood, ouch!
Just as many quarterbacks who've transferred to the SEC who have been bad that have been good. We also have Will Levis and Hendon Hooker who have been great. I also will point out, and I think a lot of SEC fans don't realize this, in the last 15 years, 4 different programs in the SEC have won national championships. 3 of them have done so with a transfer quarterback. That is Cam Newton, Jake Coker, and Joe Burrow. So you can kind of find it either way you want if you want to talk transfer.
I could have won that national title instead of Jake Coker.
He threw for 350 yards.
And I think anyone on this podcast could have done that on that team. My first response to how I'm watching these reactions in the industry and the fans and everything is like, especially on the Spencer Rattler deal, guys, he struggled mightily to be consistent against inferior defenses than what he will see at South Carolina. I think what we're seeing now is a mini version of, how we line up these great kickoff games every year and we just inevitably end up overreacting to like 3 or 4 of them because they just don't hold the weight that we thought. I don't think we're going to be talking about Spencer Rattler in South Carolina in November next year. We're not.
I totally agree.
He also transferred for a reason.
It's the fact that Marcus Satterfield said that he told Spencer Rattler, everyone in the country thinks you stink. Everyone in the country thinks I stink. Like, let's go at this with the biggest chip on our shoulder. Like, there was a point to it. It's like, go in there with a chip on your shoulder. But that's just funny. He's like, everyone thinks you suck. Everyone thinks I suck. Nothing to lose.
I think there's some poor logic though to he transferred for a reason. Like, not being as good as Caleb Williams is not as an indictment on a player. I think not playing good football for like 7 or 8 games is an indictment on the player. Also, KJ Costello transferred in, had a huge game last year to start the season, and then he's got benched at the end of the year. So again, just pointing out that the transfer portal works for you and it can work against you just as many times. You got to find the right guy and the right fit and the right coaching staff, the right year. It's all about the right stuff, and it doesn't always work. So just
KJ Costello's got some one-hit wonder vibes going on, like JoJo, like a musical artist that's a one-hit wonder. Like, that's what KJ Costello feels like to me.
Like Casey and JoJo.
No, she's talking about
this is not a good reference for probably our target market. Think of another one-hit wonder.
I understood that reference.
That was that was not late 90s R&B.
She's talking about a girl pop star that was like.
Please sing it, Erin. Please continue.
That's all I got.
On the tail end of the like Britney Christina era.
That's
yes.
Was there not an R&B like duo called Casey and JoJo?
That was an R&B duo from way earlier.
Okay. I don't know who that is.
All my life.
I believe you.
Yes. All my life.
Nope. Didn't want that. Didn't ask for that.
Want that. Didn't sign up for that.
All right. Any other quarterback transfer information that you'd like to discuss? I think we're good on that.
Backup market will be affected. Like I hate to validate these doomsaying prophecies in college football. Yes, the way in which you plan for a backup quarterback is going to be different. Deal with it. You'll live.
I think all the fans are going to be just fine. The people that have to do all the extra work managing their fluid rosters are getting paid $8 million, so I don't care.
Correct.
All right.
It's not the end of the world.
Bowl games, there are a bunch of them. I think I've said this literally. I'd like to think I was ahead of the curve on this, saying this like 8 years ago, 10 years ago, that bowl results don't mean anything going forward or looking backwards. They are just really fun to enjoy in the moment. Coaches don't coach them the same. Players don't play in them anymore. Fans used to value them, but the prestige is gone because there are 127 teams in bowl games now. But they are fun reality TV exhibitions to enjoy and watch. I will give you the two that I care the most about and why. I cannot wait to watch the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Mississippi State versus Texas Tech in Memphis, because Texas Tech still owes $2.5 million to the head coach at Mississippi State, Mike Leach. And I want to know what that dynamic is going to look like before, during, and after the game. What does Mike Leach say in the press conference? I think Mississippi State is going to destroy Texas Tech on the field. I don't really care about the outcome, but I do want to see the "you owe me money" dynamic in that particular game.
It's going to be funny. Is he going to be able to translate that to his players? Like, this is a big game for him. He's hyped up for this. He ended up in a place that no one ever thought he could, which is the SEC. We don't have a really strong history of Mike Leach's players playing for him. Like, there are guys, and you could make a list of coaches where you're like, I will give my all for Coach X because I love him. That ain't this dude. So I'm very curious to see how Mississippi State responds to a Texas Tech team that is in a huge amount of transition, y'all. Like, this is not going to be the Texas Tech team that you see next year. I don't even know who's coaching this game.
They're not good.
They will be good in 2 years. They're bad right now.
That's true.
That is funny to think about. Like, Mike Leach is like, please don't lose this game.
Yeah.
But a harder sell for Mike Leach than Sam Pittman, which brings me to Arkansas, Penn State, which is, no surprise there that's the one I'm most excited for. Outback Bowl on New Year's Day.
That's a fun game. That's a really fun game.
Yeah. Should be. Treylon Burks opted out, which I get. So he's always fun to watch. So takes a little bit of the spiciness out of it, but should still be pretty good. The Penn State has a hard time scoring, but has a good defense. Should be fun to watch against Arkansas's offensive line. So we'll see.
You're doing actual football analysis. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's weird.
I appreciate that. I like
Big
Big
weird.
Ten.
It's like I know nothing, but yeah.
No. It's just for this show today.
For bowl games, it's odd. Also, Penn State and Big Ten, SEC, and a New Year's Day bowl. I'm cool with that. Sign me up. The other one I can't wait to see is North Carolina and South Carolina in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, only because Shane Beamer has signed up for the Mayo bath after the game.
Oh, nice.
To have mayonnaise poured all over himself if he wins, a la the Gatorade bath. And I would prefer to see Mac Brown take a mayonnaise bath.
But he is not signed up.
I don't know if he has or not.
Something tells me he is not.
Also, Duke's mayo is the shit.
No free shouts.
Please sponsor us.
Mayonnaise. How about this? Mayonnaise is the worst of all the condiments.
Oh God, here we go. My pick is actually the most arbitrary game possible. That I'm going to be fascinated to see like what the football product looks like, and that is right. I guess not right before, but after every other bowl game is played, but before we know a national champion, Kansas State and LSU are going to play at the Texas Bowl.
Yep.
Why?
I wish Adrian Martinez could play in this game.
Why?
What are we doing here?
Just why?
From an LSU standpoint, I think this is like the most you're gonna go over to your grandparents' house and sit there this on Saturday afternoon. I don't care if you have plans with your friends, because LSU does not really need these bowl practices. They're going to look way different next year in terms of personnel and scheme and everything else. Why are you playing this game? Who's coaching this game? What's the scheme going to be? Like,
they just want to win so they can all get new PlayStations.
Oh,
there you go. And maybe some sweet bomber jackets. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Deuce Vaughn and Kansas State that's no joke.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's no joke.
You could lose this game and feel even worse about what's gone on the last 2 years. Like, there is no upside for LSU to be in this game. Also, it's so far after everything else has happened. It's just it's one of the bizarre occurrences that is just specific to college football.
Tuesday, January 4th, Erin.
Yeah, the only thing I know for sure about this game is that the color purple will be present. That's like all I know. It's going to be that's whatever.
I will say also, if you LSU fans are now upset of what Steven just said to you, I would say, again,
they're not. They don't want that bowl game.
But who cares? Like, who cares? Who cares?
Steven doesn't care.
It doesn't matter if you win or lose. It literally doesn't. Like, if you're Tennessee, we were just talking about Tennessee being happy. Are they really trying to stack Music City Bowl trophies on top of each other? Like, is that what they're trying to do? That's not what they're trying to do. And so, listen, enjoy it, celebrate, tailgate, drink some beer, have a good time with your friends and family, but don't take the outcome too seriously. The bowl practice is really what matters, the paycheck, the recruiting, all that stuff. So don't take it too seriously. All right. We'll wrap up today. We'll talk with Ian Fitzsimmons coming up in just a few minutes, but
I'm saving the rest of my hot takes because they took a long time, but they were just my best ones are yet to come. So we'll do those next week.
Okay. That's all good, man. I thought your takes were wonderful.
Thank you.
Coach of the year. And I don't really care as much about the award per se, but I do think in the SEC, there are so many coaches that accomplished really awesome things. The way Josh Heupel did his job at Tennessee, Shane Beamer getting to a bowl game, I think way overachieved our expectations for South Carolina. Mark Stoops quietly won 9 games. Sam Pittman has not only turned Arkansas around, but has changed the hiring process in coaching as well. Lane Kiffin won 10 games at Ole Miss, the first time in school history that's ever happened. And Mike Leach had a pretty good year as well. So either you got fired or you are playing for the national championship or you are coach of the year candidate. Who did the best job? Take Saban and Smart out of the equation. Who is deserving of this kind of praise this season? All those guys are very worthy.
I'm trying to take it, like, not be biased.
So not Pittman?
Yeah, but
if you think it's fair. Pittman, to make the case, I think it's fair. Like,
Godfrey, you go first.
I always have a really hard time with these because the context is so crucial.
I like the consistency. I go Stoops or Pittman. Sorry, I just told you to go and then I skipped you.
I would probably say Stoops or maybe Kiffin. Like,
it's interesting. I would go Heupel.
Well, yeah.
NCAA violations, investigation, 26 players in the portal. Total dumpster fire of a program to actually be a chance to win 8 games. I don't know. Like, I agree with you guys. You make great cases for your guys too.
There are a lot of people that we could justify winning that.
I think the takeaway here is that it is very much sort of a mash at a certain point. Right off the top, you've got the obvious playoff candidates, and then you've got, I don't want to sit here and pick apart the difference between, like, Stoops, Kiffin, Pittman, that tier. Heupel to me is unique because it's a first year guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, creating consistency is almost as hard as creating consistency the first time, creating calmness, right, I should say. Right. It's a very different job than like what Stoops is doing, for instance. So, yeah, I don't know if I would rank them all. I would say they're all achieving about the same product there's a healthy middle in this league right now.
And Heupel did the culture quick too,
Yeah.
which is hats off. That's not easy to do.
And like with Shane Beamer, none of us have really changed our long-term opinion of his ability and long-term success at South Carolina, but he just physically won games he wasn't supposed to.
This was still probably the hardest job in America.
Right. Like, so again, I also would put Shane Beamer at the bottom of that list and Leach at the bottom of that list. But if you told me Pittman, Kiffin, Stoops, or Heupel, I don't have a problem with any of those guys winning the award. And I think you can make a great case for all of them being sort of coach of the year. Again, all relative to what the award normally is, which is who sort of overachieves the most or does something unexpected. It's not ever the guy who won the championship. I mean, Saban doesn't win the award very often.
Yeah.
Or like Coach K. I don't think Coach K has ever won Coach of the Year.
That's probably why Godfrey's not arguing about us talking about it like he would with the Heisman.
It's not nearly. Yeah, it's not stupid.
Yeah, it's not stupid.
Oh, wow. All right.
Wow.
On that note,
And that's how I leave.
Wow.
How does quickly, Godfrey, how do you do Christmas at your family with 3 kids? Is it a Christmas Eve thing?
We're
Is it
on the
Christmas
road
Day
this
thing?
year, but no, it is a Christmas Day thing.
Okay.
I know that Christmas Eve is popular in certain parts of the country, I meant to say world, but and part of the country. It's still a day thing, so we're gonna fight that for as long as we can.
It's funny. I'm the opposite. Our family, I grew up doing family gifts on Christmas Eve and like getting together with the family, and then Santa on
Santa in
Christmas
the morning. Yeah.
Which is
It's a good way to spread it out.
So
our
far,
children-
it's just the one day. We'll see.
Okay. Dudes, what about you?
We watched South Park Woodland Critter Christmas on Christmas Eve. My mom hates that tradition. She's like, can't we just be normal? Like, no, we're just not normal. We also have,
sounds like she's a South Park character.
It does. Yeah. She's Chickadee the chickadee.
I love that.
No, and then we have to watch something that she wants to watch. We normally eat chili, and then we do we don't have any young ones in the house, but my cousin, we now have a niece or a cousin that's like, whatever. I guess my mom and dad's niece. Whatever. There's one small kid. We're gonna give her gifts from Santa. Santa's gonna give her gifts.
What we do prime rib Yorkshire pudding. What is the Louisiana Cajun family meal?
Ooh, good question.
They do a big breakfast, and then on Christmas, the
nice.
night of Christmas Day, it's like usually a brisket plus. It's slightly different than the Thanksgiving thing we talked about, but it's kind of a rotation of things. It depends on if they like get seafood, what's in season. It's never the tenderloin or the beef tenderloin thing is probably the only consistent part of it that I can recall.
Sounds delicious.
Also, a copious amount of alcohol.
Yes, me
always.
Too. Me too on that one. Although with kids though, you can't do that anymore on Christmas Eve.
No.
Oh yeah, because you'll be paying for it on Christmas morning.
They will be sitting on the steps at 4:45. Like, can we come downstairs? Can we come downstairs? Can we come downstairs? No, go back upstairs. Mom and Dad are
so
still
fun
sleeping.
though.
All right, everybody, have a great Christmas, a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, the Festivus for the rest of us, whatever it is you celebrate out there. Everybody have a great one. We do appreciate it. Steven, thank you for hanging out with us. We do appreciate it. When we come back, you will hear a conversation with Ian Fitzsimmons of ESPN. Fringe Element, Erin Dugan, is brought to you by the wonderful people at
Jasper's. It's a chip off the old
Yule log?
What?
A chip off the old Yule log.
Wow, thank you for helping. That was actually helpful, and it kind of made sense.
I get one every now and then.
Wow, what a beautiful gift you just gave me for Christmas.
I waited till the very end of the season.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just know to only expect 1 or 0.
Listen, here's the deal. If you need some last minute stocking stuffers, what makes great stocking stuffers? Little food items and little desserts and little treats and little bath soaps and little fancy this and fancy that and little knickknacks. And the Jasper's Grab and Go Market has so many cool things locally sourced from Nashville companies. Go into the Grab and Go Market. Go have dinner or lunch at Jasper's. Park for free. Don't pay for that. Pay for really good food. Buy yourself a gift card if you want, but also just stroll through the Grab and Go Market on your way out, and I guarantee you will find really, really good stocking stuffers, because you always need that last little thing to like put the gift kind of combo over the top.
Yes.
For a significant other, for family, for kids, for an in-law, for parents, for a friend. Always just walk through that market. You'll find something. You've been in there a bunch of times. Like there's perfect gifts in there for stocking stuffers. So go to the Jasper's Grab and Go Market.
Oh yeah. And well, it's a little late to order stuff, but in the future, if you have really thought ahead, you would have ordered gift basket or stuff from the market online, but you can still go in there. Yeah, that's actually a really good idea, Braden. It'd be perfect for that because they have all like the little treats, Nashville stuff. They've got like cool, like funny, not dish rags, but what do you call them? The little like hand towels.
Yeah.
Funny phrases on them. Like all that stuff we gave
Like,
out in the gift basket a while back. Any of that would have been perfect.
We have one. We have one that says paper towels are white trash. We have a hand towel that says that. That's the kind of stuff you get. I think it's hilarious. That's the kind of stuff you get at the Jasper's Grab and Go Market. Also, I have now contributed 2 quality ideas to the show, which means I am done for the rest of the year.
Wow. I mean, just standards are sky high.
That's what I'm pointing out.
Yeah.
There are very low expectations for me, and it's okay.
Honestly, I wasn't expecting this out of you today, so I appreciate it.
Well, I've had it's early in the morning when I'm at my most alert because the children are keeping me up here in the stratosphere of energy.
Do you
levels.
taper off, or do you ever hit a spike later?
Oh, I hit that 2 o'clock afternoon feeling. That's when I hit that's when I'm like, okay, coffee time.
Is that why we normally record the show at 2?
I get the coffee at 1:30. I'm back up again.
There you go. That's what you got to do.
All right, go to Jasper's, everybody. Great parking, great menu, great food, and some cool Christmas ideas too. So happy Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Festivus, whatever it is you celebrate. Have a wonderful time this holiday season. Everybody, where should people go? Erin Dugan, where should people go?
People should go to Jasper's, the one-stop shop till you drop shop. Boy, I said shop twice. Dang it. I was like, that was really good. Shop does rhyme with shop, people.
Leave it in. Ian, welcome to the show, man. We really appreciate your time. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Just glad to see your face, man. One of my favorite voices in college football. Glad to have you on the show. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Happy holidays to you. Merry Christmas, bro. It's been too long. Heck, man, I think the last time you and I did a show together was probably close to a year. So, man, always good to see you and talk some ball, brother.
So I want to get your perspective because you are sort of I'll call you this and I want to see what your reaction is because I already called you this on the show earlier. Like you're like the cool, fun uncle at the holiday party who has all the good stories, all the wisdom, all the experiences of living life out there on the college football trail. And there's like the one uncle that no one wants to talk about because he's just in like some dark, weird corner of the internet spouting conspiracy theories. You're the other one that everyone wants to hang out with. Do you take that as a compliment or an insult?
No, I would take that as a full-on compliment, man, like way over the top. As a matter of fact, I want to send that to my wife and daughters. So I greatly appreciate it, dude. But look, man, when you're on the road every week, it's a blast. Like last year, put everything into perspective, I think I called 11 games last year. And of course, my youngest daughter, Braden, you'll love this, man, being a dad. She's like, Dad, the only reason they're putting you on TV is because you have to wear a mask. Let's be honest.
Wow.
I'm like, damn, kid, that hurt, man. I mean, good Lord.
Brutal.
But man, just being out every week, getting a full season in with Sean Kelly and Barrett Jones on the college side and, also doing like 9 NFL games as well. It just, man, I called it exhilarating exhaustion, because we took for granted so much, especially about the great game of college football, not having, that feel of, beer, bourbon, barbecue, Chanel No. 5, right? The smells of the game and, the pageantry and all that and the tailgating. There's nothing like it outside of college football. Nothing, and just to have all that back, I think it kind of, flipped a switch for a lot of us. I know you and I talked about this, man. We take it for granted too much. And just to have it all back again, dude, it was an awesome year. And every week we had something crazy happen. It was the fastest season I can remember also. Last year, crawled. This one, it was a sprint, man. It feels like we were just at the college football symposium, yesterday. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, Uncle Ian, we appreciate you joining us on the show today. We appreciate it. So I want to get to some of your experiences this year and some of the great stories in the SEC, some of the great coaching jobs and the players. There's so much that goes unnoticed in our game because we get so focused on the playoff. But I am going to start with the playoff and just the Kirby Smart decision with JT Daniels. He's of course being coy with his quarterback as Kirby Smart tends to be. But it doesn't really matter what he decides as far as the narratives go because it's going to be a huge story. Either way he goes, if he starts one guy, if he plays the other guy, if he doesn't play the other, unless they win a national championship with Stetson Bennett starting and playing both games, it's going to be a huge story no matter what he does, right?
Without question, and that game, I can't wait to sprint home from Alabama, Cincinnati. Sean Kelly, Barrett Jones now will be on the call about one at Jerry World at the Death Star, and then just get in the truck, get home as fast as possible, because this is a heavyweight matchup, man. I had Georgia week 1 against Clemson, and I had Michigan week 2, and I could not have been more impressed with what I saw with Michigan as far as a change of an attitude. So no matter what Kirby does, yeah, you're right. I mean, when it comes to his quarterback, but to me, that this game is going to be decided in the front seven, man, on both sides of the ball, because Michigan's O-line is very underrated, and man, they'll get after you. Harbaugh actually, Braden, I know you've called some Michigan games also. He's changed, dude. He kind of feels like it's a lighter version of him. And I think having now gone from one of the oldest coaching staffs in college football to one of the youngest staffs in college football gave him a sense of energy, youth. And he's a nicer dude. Heck, at halftime, man, against Washington, I walk up to him for our walk and talk at halftime. He put his arm around me, dude. He's like, all right, what do you want to know? Like, who the hell? Who are you? Like, who is this human, right? I mean, is there an alien that's taken over Jim Harbaugh? And he gave a great answer. I'm like, hey, man, number one thing you want to fix in the second half. And he said, we got to get our big boys to the second level. He cited 4 runs that went for like 7-8 yards. It should have been touchdowns. He goes, we get hat on the second level where this game's already over. Of course, Barrett Jones being an old lineman, right? He's like, I mean, he was, almost, like euphoric. Like, oh, yes, right? But that team, man, they are nasty. They will fight you till hell freezes over, then fight you on the ice. And then Georgia, their front seven's the same way. We've talked about them since week 1, right? But you bring up the point of it comes down to who's playing quarterback. That will be the discussion, right before kick. You're right. But I don't think that's where that game is going to be decided. It's going to be in the trenches for both these teams, because they will both get after you.
So what did Georgia what happened to Georgia? I mean, obviously Alabama has Bryce Young and Jamison Williams, and those are 2 unique weapons to take advantage of the back end of Georgia
and a backup center.
But
right?
But what was why did the defense? I mean, I know we're like
I don't
2
know.
weeks.
I don't have an answer for you. I literally don't have an answer for you. And anybody who thinks they do is lying, because that was just uncharacteristic. And people can talk about Braden, well, Alabama was hungrier, and they wanted it more, and as Saban said in the post-game presser, which, by the way, matriculated to the NFL, because I had Ravens Steelers that right after the SEC title game, Bradley Bozeman, All-American center, right, from Alabama, talking about, man, how about Coach Saban turning the rat poison around, saying it was yummy, Najee Harris from the Steelers talking about, they both, independent of one another, Braden, were talking about their old coach, right? And flipping the rat poison thing around. But I don't have an explanation. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do, come on with it, man, because that is not the Georgia team that I saw week 1. It wasn't a Georgia team we watched on film in week 10. And it sure as hell didn't look like them that day, especially with Bama rolling out a backup center.
Football's a weird game. Sometimes you don't always play your best. And if the other team if you've been just dominating people all season, it's easy to get complacent. I know these are all cliches, but I'm with you. I don't have any other explanation, because it wasn't about Stetson Bennett. Like, he didn't play great, but that's not the reason they lost that game against Alabama. We'll see if Michigan has the quarterback and the weaponry to exploit Georgia in space, because I do think they've got all the other pieces in the trenches.
That's their one weakness. Yeah, back end is their one weakness, right?
Yep.
They miss Eric Stokes now playing, in the league with the Green Bay Packers as a rookie. I mean, the back end is the weakness for the Georgia Bulldogs. But to your point, that's not what Michigan does well, man. They're gonna ram Haskins and Corm right at you, and they can both tote it. I mean, they run angry, man, with some passion behind their pads. But look, again, it's going to come back to me, not who Kirby Smart rolls out there at quarterback. To me, that game is going to be run by the big uglies up front.
Well, let's take a few minutes here just to sort of look back on your college football journey and sort of the season's journey here real quickly. And it's part of why I wanted to talk to you, because I know you've got perspective on sort of all these things. The SEC, the middle of the pack in the SEC, if you want to start talking about who did the best job coaching, and you look at Mark Stoops, you look at Josh Heupel, Shane Beamer, Mike Leach, Lane Kiffin, Sam Pittman. Is it a healthier middle class in the SEC than you've ever seen?
Hell yes. You knew that answer, man. Come on. How about Shane Beamer rolling in a GA at quarterback? And I love go back to the preseason. Man, that's a 3-win team. For him to get that squad bowl eligible and be in a bowl game, right? I mean, to get those 15, 16 extra practices is invaluable. And he did it with a guy playing quarterback off of his coaching staff who happened to have a year of eligibility left. And I love how Beamer was like, dude, we didn't just go to the Budweiser plant on the loading dock and say, hey, anybody play quarterback? I mean, this was something that they had talked about. Didn't want to have to use, right, as an emergency guy, but it came up that they had to, and you get bowl eligible in that conference. I mean, that's amazing. And what Pitt's done at Arkansas, I mean, that's nothing short of spectacular. I mean, he really is. I mean, he's done a remarkable job. The Pirate, I've got the Liberty Bowl against Texas Tech. Mike Leach still has that philosophy of, whenever his team has to punt, he views it as a failure. I mean, it's that middle of the road, you're spot on. When it comes to the SEC, and they would probably, some of them, take offense to what you said, describing it as middle of the road. But look, man, it was a remarkable job. I had Tennessee, Alabama. Heupel, man, what a remarkable job that he did. That was a game. Remember, man, that was a 1-score game going into the fourth quarter. To be able to do that, he just didn't have the depth to keep up with Bama. Yeah. And they got boat raced 28-0 in the fourth. But Heupel did a remarkable job as well. So I completely agree with you. It's been. I wouldn't say a resurgence, but it's been a remarkable run by all the coaches that you mentioned.
Would it be unprofessional at halftime of the Liberty Bowl to ask Mike Leach how he feels about the outstanding debt that Texas Tech still owes him?
No, I think he'd appreciate that question. That's
I think he would.
Right? I mean, I think he would actually thank you for giving me the platform right now. Let's not walk and talk, right? Let's turn that mic on and I'll give you an answer. Right?
I have words for you, Ian. I have words.
Yes. As a matter of fact, my attorneys, I really appreciate you bringing that up. And therefore, let me give you a 4-minute answer why I don't go do any adjustments at halftime and tell hey, the Red Raiders, I want my money. There you go.
What are your, just like the places you go in the SEC that you just you get all the vibes, you get all the feels? Like, I know they're all great and they're all special, but like when you're traveling across the country, there's so many great places across the country.
LSU,
LSU still the top.
Yeah, I mean, I went to Alabama for 6.5 years, so I've got a lot of family, friends. I was an old bookie and a bartender back then, man. I mean, my great friend Trip Rogers and Mike McInerney on the Innisfree Irish Pub, which we opened back in 1998. And I stupidly sold out of. We appreciate you coming in every now and then, Braden, by the way. But yeah, it's, Bama's always going to be special because I went there for so long. And I do not have a doctorate, for those of you wondering. But LSU is just different, man. I mean, it's special. You go to Pa Rain's for lunch, Ruffino's for dinner. Attack that crab meat cheesecake appetizer, getting a 3-point stance and just dominate that redfish with lump crab meat on top over a cedar plank. Yeah, we're all getting hungry right now, right? I mean, yeah, dude. And then you head over to Death Valley where you got 100,000 just saturated fans, on any night in Baton Rouge. It's special. It's just different, dude. It really is. And for anybody who has not been, you and I can't really explain why it's different. It just is. Anybody who asks me, who are when I'm traveling in the NFL, your favorite place, if there's one college game to go to, I mean, I don't hesitate. It's a Red Stick at night, dude. In a big game, it doesn't get any better.
I've never felt more at home being dog cussed than at an LSU game. Like, like F you, here's some gumbo. Like that's how it works.
It's just different.
Outside of like the superstars, the Bryce Youngs and the Will Andersons and the Jordan Davises, like are there some guys in this conference that stand out to you that will be most memorable about 2021? Basically, favorite players of the season.
Yeah, Will Rogers, man, it's a remarkable year. Who saw that coming, right? I mean, until the Big 12 championship game, when a redshirt freshman who only had one start under his belt went 17 for 17 to start a game. And I was on the call of that, I mean, Will Rogers had the D1, completion record coming in. I think it was 15 for 15 to start a game. I mean, what a remarkable season that he had. 18 at LSU. I mean, he's special. To finish the game in his senior season. When you wear the number 18, also, man, at LSU, that's different, dude. As you know, I mean, you're a special player. And to end the season on 2 sacks, right, against Texas A&M, which has become a nice rivalry after Thanksgiving. To be there for that was awesome. But Rodgers to me was one of the best stories. And then, man, it's going to sound nuts, but Williams at Alabama, that dude left Ohio State, and he's I mean, look at the year he had, bro. He's going to be a top 20 pick. Another Alabama wide receiver going in the first round, and he bolted because Olave, and Wilson, and all that. I mean, and you go to Bama and you put up those numbers. That's scary. Imagine if he's stuck and stayed at Ohio State.
I know,
dude. That may be the best wide receiver room that we would have ever seen in the last 15, 20 years. So, I mean, Williams, if you really think about it, because he's a transfer, and we thought he had a good season, but he had just a remarkable year. So I'd go Will Rogers 18, and then probably Williams, because I don't think any of us saw what Williams did.
Yeah.
Coming in. If you go back to week 1.
I'll leave you on this. You mentioned the LSU Bama, the A&M thing, and we talked about this earlier in the season after LSU. They were getting beat by Kentucky, and it was the same night, I believe, that the A&M Alabama game was happening, if I'm not mistaken. And LSU fans are all in these hotels in Kentucky, and they're all watching, like, rooting against A&M. They're not rooting against Bama. They're rooting against A&M, and it's because I think that I-10 thing has turned into something more.
It really has.
Than we anticipated. Like, isn't that good for the game and good for the SEC to have that being built up the way it is?
Well, and remember, when you and I were growing up, it was Texas A&M, Texas at Thanksgiving. Now I think Greg Sankey and the SEC did a masterful job in getting A&M another natural rivalry. Now, it ain't Texas, right? But it's good. I mean, it's got some sizzle to it. I've done that game twice now in the last 4 years.
They hate each other.
And there's not, and a lot of you, because LSU's got a lot of Texas guys on their roster, right? A&M's got some, Louisiana boys on their roster. They all went butted heads, in high school, and it is truly, to your point, I agree, a budding rivalry. And if we were going to have something try and, be that filler for Texas A&M, Texas, man, LSU, Texas A&M has turned into something that is going to continue to be a budding rivalry until, Boomer Sooner and the Whiny Orange roll into the SEC. And I'm curious to see, dude, what do you do? Do you go back to A&M and Texas? Whether you're in a 4-pod system, whatever it is, or 2 sides of it, I mean, whatever they decide to do you punt LSU A&M, which, to your point, I agree, is building to go back to that old tradition that you and I had growing up, right? With A&M and Texas.
I want both. Ian.
You can't have both.
There's no reason I can't have both.
I'm asking you, which one? You have to go back. I think
as a kid who went to middle school in Austin and went to Westlake High School for a year, and you don't grow up in Austin learning your mama's so fat jokes. You learn how to confuse an Aggie jokes. Like that. Those are the jokes you learn when you grow up. So, like, it's hard for me to not pick Texas and Texas A&M. But I do love that. You got to
pick one, bro. You got to pick one. Which way are you going?
You got to go Texas A&M. It's just,
I agree.
You got to do it. But you know what? Well, you know all the folks down there in Birmingham. We'll get them on the blower and we'll put them together and we'll say, listen, you got to keep these 2 games on the schedule. It's not that hard. They can figure it out. We'll let you go on this. Ian, what does the Fitzsimmons household, what meat do you consume at Christmas?
Man, this has been it's crazy you just asked that question, because this has been an ongoing battle for about 2 weeks, because we go to my in-laws' house, and my father-in-law, I call him my dad. He's one of my best friends in the world. I love him with everything. He came up with, what about lasagna? And I went, what? And it grew on me, dude. So we normally do either a prime rib with a spicy horseradish, right? Or even the ham. I mean, no turkey. because that's been done, right? It just happened, which drives me nuts because I would repeat Thanksgiving dinner,
Yes.
like the entire menu,
Yes.
all over again at Christmas. I mean, I'm all for it. So and I really do. My oldest daughter Rowan thought of this, and I can't claim it. I wish I could. She said, "Dad, we should just do Thanksgiving dinner on a random February weekend."
Yes, she's a genius.
I never
Genius.
thought of it, and we're totally doing it, man. I mean, we're doing the full Thanksgiving meal on a random Saturday in February. But for Christmas this year, I lost out. Lasagna.
Wow.
I
don't know. I don't know how I feel about it.
No
I mean,
ham.
I love lasagna. I love lasagna. Lasagna is amazing. My 5-year-old loves
I ain't got to
lasagna.
cook it. My wife's the one doing the cooking. So that's part of the reason why I agreed.
All right.
Yeah, because I'm the one doing the cooking, right? Or my dad's doing the cooking.
Yeah, you got motives.
Now it's my wife's lasagna. Therefore, I'll farm it out, bro. I'm all about it.
There you have it.
Ian
Fitzsimmons, you can hear him all over ESPN Radio calling all the great games, and you got all kinds of other stuff you're doing all over the place. So thank you so much for giving us your time. We loved having you. Thank you so much, Uncle Ian, for hanging out with us.
Great, good to see you, my brother. Merry Christmas to you and yours.
You too, buddy. That was Ian Fitzsimmons of ESPN. ESPN Radio does all kinds of games throughout the course of the year. Just love talking with that guy. He's like you know how like Spencer Hall's like a philosopher, like the Socrates of college football? Ian Fitzsimmons is like, this. He's going to take this as an insult, but I feel like he's like my uncle, like just my really cool.
But like Spencer Hall to Socrates and him to your uncle?
Well, let me finish. I'm talking about like the cool uncle, not the crazy uncle that sits at the table and blathers off bizarre conspiracy theories about the deep, dark corners of the internet. I'm talking about like the cool uncle that taught you about like records and music when you were a kid. Like that uncle who's like the guy you want to hang out with after Christmas dinner because he's got funny stories and just knows a lot of shit. And I've drank a lot of beer with Ian Fitzsimmons on the road at the College World Series, at media days, and he's just one of my favorite people in the business. So I meant that as a very, very high compliment to, if you're going to hang out with an uncle after Christmas dinner, you better be fun. You better be a good hang.
Or you better be Ian.
Or you better be Ian Fitzsimmons. So special thanks to Ian for joining us, of course, to Stephen Godfrey as well. Erin, anything else? Any holiday cheer you'd like to spread before we send everybody on their merry way? Check out the YouTube page. Subscribe.
Yeah, check out the YouTube page. Subscribe to that. That would be a great Christmas gift for us. That would be 2 Christmas gifts. Subscriptions, and Braden helped me with the ad today. So that's what a time to be alive, honestly. But yeah, I guess just enjoy your fam and be nice to each other and other people also.
I think that is a good parting message for folks out there. For Stephen Godfrey, my name is Braden Gall, at Braden Gall on Twitter, at the Aaron Dugan on Twitter, at Aaron_Dugan on Instagram, at 440 Sports on Twitter as well. Rate, review, subscribe, share the show. But also now we're asking you to check out the YouTube page because all the awesome stuff that Aaron's doing is on full display there. So go check out the YouTube page, 440
Make
Sports.
it worth it.
Thank you guys all for hanging out. Have a great Christmas, everybody. This has been the Fringe Element on the 440 Sports Network.
Happy holidays.